Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to That Park Place. My name is Vash Sky, your host of talking about Tron Ares. Is it set to lose, what, $100 million, $200 million? I don't know. Pro is with me to cover this box office bungle, no matter if it's for $100 million or $200 million. Pro, this movie has lost a lot of money, or is on pace to lose a lot of money for the Walt Disney Company. Wouldn't you agree?
Vash, I think we need to start the intro over, because this sucker is not losing $200 million, it's losing $250 million. So Vash, that means perhaps you should say that you're not just a host, you're the ghost host. Because folks, we're dealing with the dead here. We're dealing with a dead franchise in Tron. I know that many of you out there, well, some of you out there, okay, a few of you out there liked the movie, and we've heard from you. But most people didn't even go see it, and those who did, many of them didn't like it, and it's the vast majority. I'm so sorry. And, you know, everybody has different opinions. I gave this the worst score I've ever given any movie on the Pro channel, 1.5 out of 10. I didn't do it because I just wanted to, you know, get clickbait and all that kind of stuff. No, I would have walked out of this movie, and halfway through, it was terrible, in my opinion. I hate it for those of you who loved it. You know, I hate to rain on the parade of, but there's so few of you. Folks, Marvin Montanaro has this one, and I'm gonna tell you. Deadline is reporting that Tron is going to lose $132.7 million. However, it's more like $250 million, and I'll explain. Vash, do you know the reasoning behind why I say that Deadline might be hiding the true floptastic measurement for Tron?
Well, I would assume that it has to do with some Hollywood accounting, if I know anything about keeping up with this story. By the way, I just want to go ahead and highlight Geeks and Gamers. Marvin Montanaro, what is going on? Well, That Park Place and Geeks and Gamers have teamed up together to bring you the news that is, culturally relevant nowadays. And this is, I think, one of the greatest stories to come together on this, because Geeks and Gamers over there, they got Odin, we've got Marvin Montanaro, we've got WDW Pro, and Pro, I know you know a lot about this specific story and why it might be $250 million flop instead of the 132 being reported by Deadline. Please go ahead.
Well, scroll down. I'll read part of it, and then I'll give some more color to it. But here's what it says. There's a new report out of Deadline about how much money noted box office flop Tron Ares will lose for Disney, but we're afraid it may have de-rezzed the true statistics just a bit. Whereas Deadline is claiming the movie will lose $132 million plus for the Walt Disney Company, the total could come all the way up to more than $250 million. And the reason for it is a cute little smoke and mirrors accounting trick we're very excited to expose for you. Scroll down a little bit more. We know what Marvin was saying on Geeks and Gamers. He does a great job. But if we go on down here, folks, I'll read this paragraph, then I'll explain. This is from Deadline. This is from Anthony D'Alessandro. It says, at a $160 million box office threshold, Tron Ares triggers $72.2 million in worldwide theatrical rentals, $37.6 million in global home entertainment. And here's where it gets a little fuzzy. They're talking about the money that's going to come in for Tron, how it's going to make its money back. Close to $100 million in global home television, with some extra for airlines and da-da-da-da-da-da, okay? But $100 million in global home television. Now, Bash, where is Tron Ares going to be on for global home television? Where do you think Tron Ares is going to go on TVs across America?
I mean, the only way it gets onto a TV, I would think, would be through streaming. But, I mean, maybe later on you can get through, I don't know, cable and maybe like some ABC affiliate or something like that. That's the only thing I can really presume.
Disney Plus and ABC. You're exactly right, Vash. Disney Plus and ABC. So what's going to happen? This happens every time, folks. Nobody's shocked by this inside the industry. They all know this is how this works. Disney is a giant company with lots of subsidiaries. And those subsidiaries, when they buy something from another subsidiary, they have to pay for it. But it's still Disney money. It's just the left hand giving the right hand some cash. So what's going on is that the studios and the production company that made Tron Ares will be paid by Disney Plus for the movie. Now, that's just moving money from one pot to the other inside Disney Plus. But Deadline is counting that as saying, well, this is, it's a profit for the movie. And that would be true if something like Netflix was paying for it, but it's not. Disney Plus is buying it from Disney. Well, Disney Plus is part of Disney. So what does that mean? It means that $100 million for TV and, global TV and all that. Folks, it's largely nonsense, because Disney owns Disney Plus and ABC, and that's almost entirely where Tron will go. You think somebody is clamoring for Tron Ares and going to beg Disney, please, Disney, I know it's a Disney property, but please let us play Tron Ares. Like, maybe in 2 years, NBC will put it on at 3 a.m. and give Disney $5 for it. I don't know. But most of that money is just paying from one hand to the other.
And the bulk of this appeal when it comes to this specific movie in general is for the people who did like it, they liked it in the IMAX experience or in the theatrical experience. So you got to think, if you're, I don't know, a cable provider or whatever, clamoring to get this film, as you so astutely put it out there, Pro, they're not. But what would be the appeal for somebody to even broadcast this, knowing that really the appeal of this specific film really lies in its visual effects and its spectacle that simply broadcast television or whatever medium involving a television can't possibly provide, at least to the masses anyway. Now, look, if you got a big home theater at home, maybe that's a different story, but that's where the streaming comes in. And folks, when it comes to Disney Plus and streaming, we know how profitable or unprofitable that has been for the Walt Disney Company, despite big releases at the theatrical box office. And this, well, doesn't necessarily quantify. So I look at this, and so if you take out that TV revenue, I think you're right, bro. I think that's where you get to $232 billion here, or a quarter of a billion.
Absolutely. And some of those other numbers can be fudged a little bit because they're claiming that it was $103 million. I think that's off the top of my head. $103 million on marketing and ads and all that kind of stuff. That sounds rather low to me. It could be accurate, but it sounds a little bit low. It's usually with a blockbuster, and this they thought was a blockbuster. Usually those are higher, something like 150 to 200. So I'm not going to argue with them. Maybe Disney was just extremely frugal as they got fearful for what this was going to do. Could be, but listen, it would not surprise me if it lost in reality $250 million. Now, the only reason this is not bigger news, right, is because Disney has done this over and over this year. Well, there was a time when if Disney lost bigly like this, that was a John Carter, that was a Lone Ranger, and look out, it was freak out time at the House of Mouse. They'd change everything to never have this happen again. But now, in the current era of Bob Iger, the mousy messiah, this happens all the time. I mean, Snow White likely lost more than $400 million. We're talking about insanely astronomical kinds of losses, flops at the cinemas. And that's the only reason that Tron is, well, actually, let me take that back, Vash. I'll reverse this. Let me ask this. Did Snow White get some defense? Did Rachel Zegler get some defense because of who she is and what she was saying and the losses that were incurred there and the feeling by some in the industry that it was a conservative movement that stopped it? And maybe Tron is getting all this attention because, well, Jared Leto is a white dude. I don't know. I don't want to go too far in that direction. But Vash, I would say maybe we should have been trashing Snow White even more than we did. Maybe it's unfair to Tron, but Tron is done as a franchise. It's over. It's kaput. Yeah. This is it. I don't even think they'll try to put a Disney Plus show together, in the next decade. Maybe something cheap and animated that looks like a Flash animation. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you could. That's what kind of happened with Tron Legacy, right? You had the Tron animated series that came out. I believe that was what Disney XD was what hosted that. Very interesting. A lot of people raved about it, but that could be where this franchise ends up, if even that. That's the thing, bro. I think a lot of people might not be looking at Tron, at least outside of our sphere, only because nobody cared about Tron to begin with. Whereas Snow White, I think maybe people were more interested in that story because it happened to be a beloved animated classic from Disney's vault. It's basically the film that launched the entire Walt Disney Company in effect by itself back when it came out in 1937. It certainly built the modern animation studio in Burbank and so forth. And
right, but
so
Bash,
we
were willing to call out Snow White. The legacy media, the drive-bys were not.
True.
They're more than happy to take on Tron, but they didn't want to touch Rachel Zegler. They didn't touch Snow White, and that's not all right with me. Right. And well, you know what? Actually, thanks Legacy Media, because we have springboarded. I think that's the past tense. Right on past you, because you wouldn't dare. Touch some of these other films. I mean, Tron is the Marvels bad, but Snow White somehow dwarfed, pun intended, even the Marvels.
Yes, oh, absolutely. And a lot of that is because of its production costs, right? So the production costs, it's very interesting, bro, because you look at like Snow White, for example, and we know that that's anywhere between $350 to $400 million. So just an enormous production cost because they have to reshoot that multiple times over. We were saying with Tron Ares that the initial $180 million reported budget, that can't be right. It had to be more like 200. And now Deadline is actually saying it's 220.
Right.
So in terms of
Disney blows the budget every time. Every single time.
There it is. There it is.
Right.
I mean,
people say
watch to it, bro.
But it doesn't matter because the drive-bys will just quote the budget every single time as opposed to the production.
Right.
Now, so here's the question then, all right? So Deadline suddenly has access to the marketing spend, and they have access to the actual, production spend. They never tell this. So how did Deadline get it? And why don't they tell it at the other times? Oh, because this is intended to let Jared Leto know you're done. You're done.
It would appear so. There's definitely a war on Jared Leto, especially from these media outlets.
Now, Acolyte Girl, she's welcome. They'll bring Acolyte Girl back, in a heartbeat, anywhere she wants. She's welcome back.
You talking about Leslie Headland, or are you talking about Amanda? I don't even know.
No, this I forget her name. The one who's in Tron, she was one of the witches in the Acolyte.
Oh, I can't
remember her name.
Well, hey, maybe our commenters can actually let us know in the comment section down below. Do you remember the name of the
and if you don't worry, because the legacy media will let us know real quick that she is totally 100% viable. Her career will skyrocket while they dismiss with Jared Leto. I don't know if he should be, but I'll tell you this movie was bad, and it's not just on Leto. This was a bad, B-A-D, all caps, bad movie.
Another devastating loss for the Walt Disney Company in 2025. If you like this video, please go ahead and like this video. If you see that hype button and you haven't distributed your hype points, what are you doing? Why don't you go ahead and hit that hype button for us? That could help us. Not sure, but we'll see.
We don't know what that hype button does, but you know what? The time is ripe to hit the hype, baby.
Absolutely, 100%. And make sure you follow That Park Place and, well, now Geeks and Gamers for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.